Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to EduQuestions. This is a channel where we say things as they are, we dissect, and talk about matters that surround education. Education is a wide topic, but there are things that we have missed over time, and that is the main objective of this channel. Today, I'm so privileged to have one of the best educators that I've ever met. This person has led various schools, both in the country and out of the country. He is a teacher by profession, but a leader, but more so, he's so passionate about education and learning. I'm so much happy to have gotten time to discuss matters education with him. Welcome, Mwalimu. How have you been?
Well, you can see. It is evident. It's okay. I mean, you can see for yourself. But to answer your question, I'm okay and I've been all right.
Good. So I know you as one person who is very passionate about education and matters to do with learning and stuff like that. You've been in class as a teacher, you've been in offices as an administrator, both in and out of the country. But just from that note of your quotes, I love one that you always like using, that many are the times that schooling comes on our way of education. This is something that is very deep as much as I'm concerned. Why do you think schooling comes on our way of education? And yet, since we were born, we were told that, school is the success of life.
I want to be honest and remain so. I believe that is the case. And I've also come to believe that there is no dictionary that will define education as I know it. In college, we even did something called comparative education. Do you remember?
Yes.
It was to compare what goes on elsewhere with what we do, and not that what is done elsewhere must be done here.
It was just a comparison.
It was just a comparison. What do they have? What do they call education? That if we go back to that, which I call primordial definition, it states education is a social process of socializing the young into the old. Take note, is a social process.
Socializing the young?
Socializing the young into the old.
Into the old.
Does that only take place in school?
No.
That starts from home. As soon as the child is born, the child is being socialized as a young one, processed into the old. That to me constitutes education. In fact, what you call schooling is to me a component of education. The unfortunate bit is that today we look at schooling as education. In fact, those who don't go to school are sometimes said to be uneducated. Nothing could be far from the truth. I want to ask you,
yes,
was your grandmother, if she exists, educated? Question, don't answer that.
Yes.
Was your grandpa or the father of your grandpa educated?
Grandparents.
Yes. So it goes back down to even Stone Age. Those guys had a way of life. They had a way in which children would be made to become from girls to women, okay, from boys to men, and they lived their lives. And I have a feeling they were very happy.
So schooling as misconstrued today
as education, which is wrong in my opinion.
Yes.
It is only part of education. If you say that, I would agree with you, because we try to acquire, compare what people do elsewhere. We want to see if we can do the same, and just improve our lot. But it is not the only place where we go to get education. Education is a wide range. It's a whole litany of things we do together. As a people, as individuals, as a community, as a society, as a government. There's a lot that goes on that can be said to be real education.
So where do you think we went wrong as a country or as a society or as a community? Where did we go wrong?
We went wrong in so very many ways. Yeah. Today, if you go to a shop, you will be made to believe that things obtained from elsewhere are better than things produced from here.
Yes.
So we started by belittling our education, okay, and its products, so that we began to look at education as a thing that must come from somewhere. And of course, from somewhere it had to come. And those who knew how to market it brought it to us. in the name of what you call today formal education.
Yes.
And that's why I say schooling, as it is now, comes on our way of education. It is stopping us from learning our ways of life that were very fundamental to the African community or the African person. Okay?
Yes.
We are a little lost now where we are with our education. I don't know really. We are producing graduates en masse. Every day they are coming out in their numbers, and as things stand now, they have nowhere to go. By the way, up front, let me say this, that I recently asked a few friends of mine something to do with the celebrations that go on when we get the KCSE, the KCPE.
Yes.
I see those kids who have excelled carried shoulder high to celebrate, which is okay. We must encourage our children to excel. The same is seen during the results of KCSE, and it's okay. At the graduation, when these colleges graduate their students, there is no such ecstasy, there is no such celebration. If it is there, it is short-lived because it is quickly captured by the eerie environment in which they find themselves after graduating. They are lost. I actually compare this to what I see when the wild bees cross River Mara. They may start from this other end, which is shallow and gradient is okay, they can move. But they have no idea what precipice awaits them on the other end. They die en masse in there. That is comparable to what we see today in our university graduates. They have reached at the end of their education, as we call it, and after that...
Actually, they have reached at the end of their schooling.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And we leave them to be consumed by the dangers that we see them involved with, drugs,
because of frustration.
So it's about crazy. I think the government of Kenya, as things stand today, must review what we call education and schooling, as it were. Because is it helping? That's the question we must ask ourselves. Is it really helping us as at now?
It is not helping, and you see, they are currently even the same government we are still doing the same things the same way, expecting different results. So what do you think we should do as a community, or as a society, or as Kenya for that matter?
If we look at our country as an agricultural country, and that is as things stand now, that's our source of revenue or a source of livelihood. Okay, we say we are an agricultural country. But the sad reality is that agriculture as a subject in the schools where we go to achieve education is an option. It's optional.
You either go to that option.
You can take it or not. And yet it is what defines our livelihood. Our industries generated by us, not from elsewhere. I think up recently I was hearing about stoppage of importing of second-hand clothing, which has literally killed cotton growing in this country and our local textile. If that were to be enhanced, then we would have a thriving cotton growing in this country. The farmer will be happy, and so will be people who invest in that. And therefore, those coming from those universities that you call our production lines will have something they can say, they can come out and showcase their expertise in those trainings. Somebody can go and train as an engineer, they will run those factories. He can train as a textile expert, they will tell us what works. All this will absolutely be beneficial to the product in our learning institutions.
Sure.
So that is just agriculture insofar as cotton is concerned and the textile industry. You wipe that off, then you go to production, our food production. You talk about maize, you talk about rice, you talk about all of them, wheat, all this. They require people who can go out there, do research, and so on and so forth, bring forward the best of these things so that we have what we call enough food production. From here, not from elsewhere. Now, I come from a place close to a Hero irrigation scheme, rice scheme. I went to school near there, and it was a pilot scheme. I guess it is still a pilot scheme. Okay? To date, There is nothing going on there that I saw when I was a student way back in 1980 and what we have today.
It's the same
thing. It's the same thing. Sugarcane. That's a huge industry, and we have enough of the same in this country. Or we can grow enough sugar to sustain this country. In fact, we can even have a surplus to export. You talk of Nzoia sugar, you talk of Miwani sugar, you talk of Moroni sugar, you talk of Chemelil sugar, you talk of Mumias sugar.
Sure.
We can export sugar from here if we manage it well. But as things stand now, I can tell you from where I'm sitting that the sugar farmer is a very frustrated person right now. And yet, if those things were managed well and our kids coming from these universities would run those factories, they would go produce the sugarcane, they would be the, it's a whole industry. This is what's going on elsewhere. This is what's going on in other countries. Education, to me, is a way of life. A way in which, as I said, you socialize the young into the old. Education must look at your needs as a society. Education must look at your norms as a society. Education must be able to also push you from frame X to frame Y as time changes. So you change with it. But from within what you are able to do by yourself, not brought to you from elsewhere. This is where we went absolutely wrong. We have left a gap. There's a huge gap, and I feel guilty. I'm not saying I'm the best one.
Yes.
Even here as a person, I feel really, really guilty that I've not been able, by the circumstances around me, I've not been able to get my kids the kind of education I would have loved them to. But
because the system,
that's what I found myself in.
Restricted
that. There has been an increase a distance between our father, like my father now, and his age mates from wherever we come from, with the current generation. They are not able to articulate what they know to the current because of the distance. There's no transition. And that, I think, is a problem that will remain here for as long as we live. I heard Professor Magoa the other day announcing that learners were continuing at home. That shook me to my nerves. I thought he had the ability to check Kenya as a whole. Okay? And at that time, the floods were also doing their they were on the rampage.
Yes, all over.
And I don't know how somebody would be on digital while also floating on water. In a canoe, a makeshift canoe.
It does not make sense.
It doesn't make sense.
Yeah.
So those are the little gaps that I see, which I think also inform how bad things are now with schooling. I saw yesterday on Citizen TV, a girl somewhere in Isiolo. She's able to cook food as she's also revising.
Yes.
So you want to compare this child to another person who has all the tabs and everything, and are they comparable?
Give them the same exam and judge them
on the same. And you tell this one now you go and do this course at the university. This one you do this one. That is how the system has actually created a situation where the best children or the best brain may not necessarily come through because of where they find themselves. And that's not their problem to begin with. It's not their mistake that they are where they are.
So I think
that's fate.
It is stakeholders that should step up.
Okay.
Now, people have had confusion about what someone would call or someone would term as wisdom and intelligence. And there is a confusion that there's some people who think that an intelligent person is actually wise. And a wise person is intelligent. What do you have to say about the comparison between wisdom and intelligence? That is, if they can be compared.
Okay.
Yes.
The two are connected. There's a connection.
Yes.
Yeah. And you look at wisdom as housing intelligence. It's the house where intelligence is found.
So intelligence is
you can put it this way. If a person is wise, he is necessarily intelligent.
A wise person
is necessarily intelligent. But an intelligent person is not necessarily wise. Why? Because if you define intelligence as acquisition and application of knowledge and skills, somebody can simply be able to do that, but may not be wise. Wisdom is a bigger picture, or wisdom carries more than intelligence. Wisdom actually is a combination of intelligence, personality, context, and expertise. Wow. So you will find that a person who is wise has experience, and that's now where expertise will come handy. A wise person is also able to exercise that which we call, or that which is based on personality. They will quickly check a situation and act appropriately. And that's personality.
So analysis.
And you can also define personality as our readiness to behave, if you allow that.
Readiness.
Our readiness to behave is our personality. Yeah. The tendencies to act that we acquire through interaction with other people is defined as personality.
Personality.
Yes. So
readiness to behave.
Readiness to behave. That is the simple, the more or less summary of personality. But the extended bit is our the tendency to act, our tendencies to act that we acquire through interaction with other people. That defines your personality. So you will say that a wise person has an element of personality. A wise person is intelligent because they're able to judge, they're able to acquire and apply knowledge and skill. You understand?
I get you.
Yeah. So you cannot say that an intelligent person is wise. That will be very wrong. I think that's what we mistake around.
Yes,
that has been mistaken around for too long. That maybe somebody excelled in school.
So this person
must be wise.
He's the one who is given all the time to
no.
And do
in fact, I think certain examples have shown us that some of them are actually not wise at all. They're only intelligent. Even some of the teachers who taught you, there were those who were able to really explain things. They were very good at their subject.
Others had only content.
Absolutely. But there are others who would come and tell you, oh, I think you are good at that. They will tell you, oh, I can see some potential in you. Like, I think I owe this to my teacher of Kiswahili, who saw athletic talents in me. And he came and said, Onyango, you call me Bon, you can try yourself in the athletics field. And I excelled.
So that was a wise person.
That was a wise person. He was a teacher, intelligent, but also wise.
He was able to analyze.
Yeah, we were taught by a combination of both. There were those who were just intelligent, okay, but there were those who were intelligent, but also very wise. When you see somebody fighting and he sees he has lost the fight, then he runs away. That's a wise person.
That's a wise person. or that is the fight is just about to begin and he runs away.
That's
very to analyze the situation. So I think wisdom is something that can we train wisdom?
Yes, wisdom can be trained.
Okay.
We can train people to be wise. Yes, but situations will also train you to be wise. Yes.
At our schools, training our children to be wise.
To a small extent, yes, but to a large extent, no.
So these are the things that
we need to really work on. I have been a teacher for long enough to have come through some very sad moments in my teaching, where a parent comes to school and tells you, I want my child to become a doctor. I said, oh, okay. My feeling is if he has to be a doctor and he was not meant for that, you probably may have to make do also with him being or her being a witch doctor. That's okay.
Those are all doctors.
They're all doctors.
Yes.
So those are the things that you come through sometimes. When you see that coming from a parent, and from all I care to tell you, being a mother or a father does not necessarily qualify you to be a parent. The sad thing is that sometimes the parent is the Achilles heel for the child's learning. They become an impediment in place of enhancing that. And yet the first school a child goes to is home. The first principal of their school is the father. The deputy is the mother.
and learning continues.
And learning continues from home. From home. If learning has not taken place from home, it will be very difficult to implement it at school. In total learning, there should be continuation of what has gone on from home, enhanced at school, and improved on. Okay? So if we identify a talent of a child, I'm a parent, I can tell the teacher my child is good in this or the other, and then teachers pick it up from there and improve on it. teachers should also be able to, or schools should be able to also identify the talent of a child and develop it. Okay? Ours here is purely academic.
Yes, you have to get
You go to get an A in math or physics or chemistry, even if your legs are yearning for something else. Your ability to join the thespians, to join the fine arts, to join, there are so many things that God gave us.
Yeah, I remember we had a
So
teacher who
many
used to take the PE lessons to teach mathematics and take games time to teach mathematics.
Yes,
do revision.
You can imagine.
So that
they are telling you that you will not eat games. There are those who say that.
Yes,
yeah,
that's true.
Yeah, you won't eat games.
Yeah, and we were told that the only way is you have to work hard and get an A.
Yes.
So we were purely schooled. Now, there's something that you told me earlier, which is it tickles me and I laugh about it. That there are some people who talk about experience. They talk about experience and say that I've been doing this for the last 10 years, so I'm experienced. I have a 10-year experience. And you made me laugh that some people, what they look at as 10 years experience is actually just one skill.
1 year.
A 1 year experience.
Times 10.
Times 10. Because you talked about knowing a little bit about everything.
I prayed to God, I said that I prayed to God to give me the ability to learn a little bit of everything and not everything about a little bit.
Yes, that was the point.
That's the point.
That was the point.
In any case, knowledge as presented to us by nature is infinite. Nature has provided us with a chance to learn everything. Like now, what do you see when you look up there? You see birds flying out there, you see clouds out there, you see the weather, the sun is not there. Why? Because you have clouds. All these things, trees flowering and non-flowering, all these things. Now you have cars here, these pictures and cameras and all. These are things we should know. Why? What do we use them for? I mean, how did they come into our life? How are they useful to us? How do they improve our lives? You want to know even about trees, why would one have big branches,
one short, one...
I'm telling you.
Yeah.
So this is giving us a chance that what you see, you should know a little bit of why they are there in the first place, where they came from, who brought them there. That is knowledge as far as I'm concerned.
Yes.
So what we are learning, what we should know is that, if I know a little bit about agriculture, about mathematics, physics, chemistry, religion, name them. That's good knowledge.
That's now good knowledge.
And I pray that I don't become a specialist.
You don't become
I don't want to become a specialist.
Because a specialist...
I don't want them to hear me, but I will say it loud. Sorry. No. I will say it to your ears only.
Yes.
That I have a feeling specialists are illiterate. They know everything about a little bit.
They know everything about a little bit.
Yes.
And yet the nature...
The nature gives us a chance to know a little bit about everything. Yeah.
But then they decide to
know just a little bit. You engage some of our friends when you go out there and they tell you I'm a specialist in this. You ask him, do you know something about agriculture in terms of plant husbandry or animal husbandry?
You have no clue. They tell you I'm a specialist. I'm an ear specialist. Yeah, or throat. So
anyway, those are things that sometimes really can be intriguing, but suffice to say that that's where we are. And life as we know it also is diverse. We must accept diversity. And I am saying this not because I'm a monopoly of knowledge. I'm just saying things the way I understand them.
The way you understand them.
And they are limited to me. I'm not trying to extend this to anybody.
Sure. But I know this is some of the things that we need to talk about, because at the end of the day, we are going to live this same society. Like you said, there's no connection between our great-grandparents and the current generation.
If you look well enough into the tapestry that is life as God gave it to us, you will see inextricably connected things. You will see how things are inextricably connected. The car is connected to this lamp, by some means.
Yes.
You are connected to this tree. In a way, there's a way in which, if you look good enough, you'll see that connectivity or that connection. Go into the Amazon or to whatever, the equatorial rainforest, and you will see that every living thing there adds value to another. The plant to the butterfly to the plant, and vice versa. There's a very, very clear connection You know, if you look at life in that wholesomeness. Yeah.
Wow. I think we can talk about this for forever, because when I am with this wise man, I know that I can never get tired about talking about education, learning, and stuff like that. And I'm very passionate about education and learning and how we can make it better. We do not want to do the same things the same way, expecting different results, which is the current situation in our country, in our schools. You call it caged education.
Actually, schooling cages our education. Our ability to learn is caged in school.
Wow.
School should just be part of the learning. In fact, more often than not, I want our kids to even have a chance to interact with people across the divide, low or high, rich or poor. They should know what life is from its primary definition, what life is all about. Okay? And that to me constitutes the wider aspect of education. Education must remain the social process through which the young grow to become the old. And keeping socializing into the old. That's period.
Wow, that is period. Powerful.
If you can make cars alongside, fine. If you can become an engineer alongside, no problem. But as long as we don't lose that fundamental definition of education, and every society must therefore have their form of education. Every community, every nation.
Powerful. Yeah. If you're a parent back at home, you need to know that education is simply socializing the child into an adult.
Correct.
Or the young into the old.
Yes.
A very powerful definition of education. And this is what we need to look at as educators, as parents, as a country, as stakeholders of education. We need to have a change of this so that we can make this country or this continent a better place.
My advice to parents, I am a parent too.
Yes.
Your responsibility as a parent is to allow the child to grow. And the responsibility of the child is to grow. It may sound simple, but it's a philosophy. How do you allow a child to grow? You do so by providing the necessary things that enhance that growth. School fees, shelter, food, uniform, encouragement, blah, blah, blah. All those are a means of allowing a child to grow. How does a child grow? A child grows by enhancing themselves in the society where they find themselves in terms of how they conform to the norms of that society, whether in school or at home. That is their growth line.
If you have not subscribed to this channel, you are late, because there is more coming and we are learning a lot. For today, we'll end it at that. Till next time, see you.